Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's conversation with one of our speakers from the Women Thrive Summit. I'm excited to have you here for today's conversation with lovely Cherie Rivas. Hi, Cherie, how are you?
Hi, Ray. I am fabulous. Very happy to be here.
Where are you joining us from?
I am joining from the beautiful Gold Coast in Australia, one of the most magnificent places on the east coast of Australia. Loving it
Oh,
here.
it's a dream of mine to visit Australia. That goes as no secret at all. So it's so nice to connect with you and also help share your story to our audience today. So, for those who are listening, today we're going to be talking about reclamation, reaching your highest potential through authentic expression. And I think this is such a powerful topic for us as women to talk about. As we are in the Women's History Month right now, we're talking about women empowerment, we're leading up to the Women Thrive Summit. I think it's so important to see what is our authentic expression. I certainly feel very, very passionate about that because I want every woman to be fully expressed and live in her divine essence. Now, today's expert that we have featured on our stage is Cherie Rivas, who is a leading empowerment mentor, transformational therapist who guides Gen X women to reconnect with their purpose, reignite their passion, and reclaim their true power. As a multifaceted, award winning professional, she's dedicated to supporting others to reach their highest and most fulfilling potential through the unique expression of their divine truth. Cherie, it's a pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you so much. An absolute honor to be here.
So tell me a little bit more about your story, how you got to doing today, doing empowerment work for women.
My story begins over a decade ago, and I originally got into this work after a particularly challenging time. It was actually a really rock bottom time for me. In what feels like a completely different lifetime ago, I had been working in a more corporate environment, and I had a very successful career. I had been winning awards, I'd been receiving accolades at a national level for my work. And then, completely unexpectedly, my life took a drastic turn when I was completely blindsided by a relationship breakup and then subsequently found out that I was pregnant.
Wow.
So, after that period of time, I really went through what I mentioned, was a completely rock bottom point in my life. I was grieving the loss of my relationship, the loss of a successful career. I was, you know, experiencing extreme financial hardship. I was doing it all on my own. And it really brought me to this place where I really had to question, who am I? And in really going deeper into this question within myself, I realized that I actually didn't know who I was. Everything prior to that, I had been doing for other people. Like, I had grown up, I had always been the good girl. I went to uni to keep my mum happy, and I got a good job in the public sector to keep my grandmother happy. And when I went through this rock bottom place and I realized, hey, here I am, I'm in my late 30s, almost 40, and I've been living my life in accordance with the expectations and standards of others. And outside the roles and responsibilities of my position description, I actually had no clue. So it was this whole process that I had to go through. And it's been this ongoing journey over the past decade to begin to really peel back the layers. And when I talk about the layers, as we, from the moment we're born, we have our beliefs programmed into us, whether that's from our parents, our teachers, our government, our society. We are encouraged to act in certain ways. We live in accordance, as I mentioned, with expectations and standards of other people, and we begin to morph and meld ourselves and become who other people expect us to be. So it has been a journey, and it's been this process of peeling back those layers and discovering who I am over the past decade, and realizing that there are so many other women, particularly women in their 40s, who are experiencing this same sense of being stuck or stagnant in their lives and questioning who they are. You know, they may not have come to that rock bottom place that I had, but they're on their own path and their own journey, you know, whether it's been perhaps they have been through a divorce, or perhaps their children have left the nest, or perhaps they are experiencing redundancies in their careers, and all of a sudden it's like, who am I? So through my journey and being able to, I guess, refine my processes in being able to support other women to rediscover who they are at the absolute core of their being, being able to unlayer all of that conditioning and really begin to remove their masks and live their life unapologetically as they themselves are. So yeah, that was probably a very long story to answer your question, but ultimately that's how I've gotten into this space.
Yeah. And I think, when we step into our own authentic truth, and I certainly know that from experience, and our own empowerment, only then we can live in our true essence and actually do the work that we're aligned to do. So I think this is a truly powerful testimony of, you doing that and then being a leading example for other people to do that as well.
Yeah, yeah. And it's such an honor and privilege to be able to support other women to rediscover themselves. And you know, I shared the other day at the Thrive Talks Australia, which I was also very privileged to be a part of, that, you know, one of the things that I see time and time again when I work with, you know, amazing women, is when we peel back all of their self-limiting beliefs, when we support them to heal all of those childhood and emotional wounds, when I can help them to calm and conquer their fears and then feel that safety in their own system to be able to remove their masks. When we peel back all of those layers, time and time again, I see the visionary leaders, the beautiful creators, the inspirational teachers, and, you know, the powerful healers. You know, women are just such incredible beings with so much to offer. And, you know, one of the things that I also consistently see is this insatiable desire to discover the truth, like their own divine truth, who they are. And, you know, this theme comes through consistently. And I really believe that the truth that ultimately most women or most people are seeking to find and express is their own divine truth, the truth of who they are.
Yeah.
So,
Why,
yeah.
why do you think we are conditioned to wear a mask? Or why do you think we feel the need to wear a mask in today's society?
Ultimately, I believe that we are conditioned from the day that we are born. And, you know, I won't speak about you know, any of the specific issues that men face. I mean, I know that there are certainly issues that men face as well,
Mhm.
but for women, you know, we are programmed from the day that we are born that we have to be a certain way. You know, we have to be the good girl. You know, we're not allowed to throw tantrums because good girls don't throw tantrums. And, you know, we don't speak unless we're spoken to. And it's not the proper thing for girls to question authority or backchat. And there is this constant programming, as I mentioned earlier, from our parents to be a certain way, from our teachers that we have to be a certain way. And it's human nature to want to connect with other people. It's human nature to want to be a part of the family or the tribe or the society. And if we are taught that, for instance, if we throw a tantrum, I will get in trouble, or I will get punished, or I will be excluded in some way, that's
Mm.
how we are conditioned to continuously comply with those expectations and standards.
Yeah. And I think it really deter us from being our best version of ourselves because we think that society expects this, right? And we show up a certain way and we really present ourselves in a way that we think the world needs us to show up.
Yeah,
Whilst all along, we're actually denying us the opportunity to be our true, authentic selves, which is where all the magic is. Don't you agree?
yeah,
Like when you work
yeah,
with people, that when their true self just comes out, it's like a lid just came off, and now
yeah,
like
yeah,
they're in their true
yeah,
essence. Like I love that
yeah,
moment. For me, it's
yeah.
everything.
Absolutely, and that's what I love so much about what I do, because you know, when you actually see that authentic expression coming through, like it's, you feel it, like
Yeah.
you see the spark, you see the radiance within that woman, and you feel it, and you feel like you feel her come alive, and that is the most incredible thing, to be able to feel somebody coming back to life. Because you know, it's like, and I don't want to sound too melodramatic here, but sometimes I feel like when we are walking outside in the city amongst the general population, sometimes it actually feels as though we are walking amongst people who are just sleeping. They've become so programmed and conditioned to be a certain way and to do a certain thing. You know, they get up and they have their breakfast and they go to work and they come home and they drink their bottle of wine and they watch TV until they pass out. And they do this day after day
Mm.
after day, thinking that one day, you know, I'll retire and then I'll be able to live my life. And it's like, you know, we spend the best parts of our lives being asleep, not truly living, not truly being who we are. And,
Yeah.
you know, from it's, you know, we just have so many incredible people out there. And if they could realize that we really can, come back to life, for want of a better term, when we do this
Mm.
kind of work, and when we reconnect with our divine truth and actually be that, rather than doing what we're told that we should be doing.
I think there's a quote along the lines of, the growth will happen, transformation will happen when staying the same becomes almost unbearable, right?
Yeah,
When the growth is the only way through. And I find that staying the same and staying in this place where you're not being authentic can become so suffocating that the pain of staying the same is just unbearable. You have to
absolutely.
transform, and in order for you to transform, sometimes you have to tear all the foundations down and almost rebuild, right? Or if you don't do it yourself, life will teach you how to do it, and you're
Yeah,
gonna have to do it. It's like
yeah,
the big crumbling, right? You gotta
absolutely.
crumble
Yeah,
everything in order
Yeah.
to rebirth. And I've heard
Yeah.
so many women's stories that, they had to break everything down in order to rebuild.
Yeah, 100%. And one of the little analogies that I love to use sometimes with my clients is this idea of the feather, the brick, and the truck. And it's like the universe will, give us a little bit of a tickle with a feather when we are not aligned to our authentic expression. When we've gotten a little bit off our path, we just get the little tickle. And if we don't take notice of the tickle, the next thing, something bigger will happen to give us a bit more of a shake up. The universe sends us the brick just to let us know, hey, you're not aligned to your authentic expression. And if we continue just to go on in our day-to-day existence, Groundhog Day existence,
Yep.
sooner or later, the truck will come. And the truck is something that we really should be avoiding at all costs, because the truck can actually be quite devastating in our life. It is like a big crumbling. If you don't choose to change, you'll be forced to change somehow.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, I think most people who are in this kind of work, I mean, we realize that change can feel really uncomfortable.
Mm.
Like, it can be scary to change because it's all of this uncertainty and unknown, and what do I need to do to get there, and having to sometimes face some really hard truths about ourselves, and how we've been in the past, and how we ourselves have actually created some of this dissatisfaction in our life, or how we ourselves have been the cause of becoming stuck and stagnant. So sometimes there can actually be a few little bitter pills that we need to swallow in order to create that transformation. But as you mentioned, like, the alternative really is just to stay stuck, to stay stagnant. And that in itself can become so painful that eventually you'll get to that point where, if the universe hasn't already sent the brick and the truck, you will become so uncomfortable that you will do practically anything to break through that comfort zone and get yourself into that growth zone.
Yeah. I think
And
for certain people who perhaps have not started on that personal development journey to that extent as well, and they're not taking the signs from the universe to get aligned, I think this, subjecting themselves to a life of pretty much misery because
yeah,
they're not happy and they're just accepting their current truth as, well, that's just the way it is. But the truth
yes,
is, it doesn't have to be just the way it is. The transformation is on the other side of probably
yeah,
fear and change. But some people, I guess, choose to never take that leap. And that's a scary
yeah,
place in itself, where you're living in your
yeah.
comfort zone and you're not making change.
That's it. And a lot of that can also come back to that programming and conditioning. Because
Mhm.
if somebody is raised in a family where there might be that victimhood mentality, for instance, and this idea that we ourselves don't control our destiny, or that we ourselves don't have the power to create our future and our reality. Like, if that isn't in somebody's paradigm, people just don't know any better.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if and that's why this work is so important, is it's not just about supporting people who are ready to do the work, but it's also being an example to other people who might not have any idea about this kind of work, that, oh, okay, well, if she changed her life, I wonder if, and just, encouraging them to actually start exploring. I wonder if it is possible that I could change my life, rather than staying
Mhm.
stuck in that paradigm of, I have no control over my life.
Yeah. So I invite our audience today, as they're listening to this, just ponder for a second. What if? What if your most wildest, incredible dreams could come to life? What if some of the things that you're dreaming of and you thinking, brushing away and saying, that's not possible, that's just only for selected few, actually were attainable to you? I want you to take that moment and really imagine yourself there. Take yourself there. What if all of those things were possible to you right now? What if all of those things were attainable to you and accessible? And this life is not a dream. This life is possible for all of us. And I think when we start to do this inner work and we start to accept that actually I can bring forward a reality, I am in control of my dreams, I am in control of my destiny, and I don't need to be playing victim to my circumstances. I think that in itself is a huge first step to realizing that you have the power, right? Not the life having a power over you. You have the power to make a change, but it does require an incredible amount of courage and willingness to step into the uncomfortable. Or, like Cherie said, you might be just hit with a brick, or the whole truck might be just coming
Yeah.
for you next. Cherie,
Yeah.
this is such a
And
juicy conversation.
yeah, it's been great. It's been great. And I love that that invitation for our listeners and viewers to really start to, as I like to put it, start to play in the realm of possibility and potential and get a little bit curious. Is it possible that there is something better? Is it possible that I could change my life? Who who could I be?
Yeah. And the best part for people who think I have to build this persona and build that pretense and in order to fit in or to convince everybody else, the truth is when you do this deep inner work, you get to show up as your true, authentic self. And I think this is what we're talking about. How can you step into your power as your true self? And you don't have to build a facade. You don't have to create a mask or persona in order for you to do this kind of work or transformational work or step into your full magic that we're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cherie, you're going to be talking on this very subject at the Women Thrive Summit March
I
18th.
am.
Tell us
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, I'm actually really, really excited to be able to talk on this topic. It's something that is um, it's really meaningful and significant for me because, for so much of my life, I was basically living somebody else's life. I wasn't who I am. And to be able to, through my own journey, really discover and refine the ways of peeling back all of the layers to reconnect with our divine truth, as I love to call it, to be able to share that is really special for me. So I will be talking, my talk topic is Reclamation, reaching your highest potential through authentic expression. So I will be talking about the 5 different layers that we get to unpeel as part of this journey of reclamation. So we'll be talking about things like our limiting beliefs and how we can start challenging our beliefs and starting to challenge our own mental paradigm. So starting to play in the realm of possibility and potential, as you suggested. We'll be looking at all of our childhood wounds and emotional wounds because, ultimately the masks that we wear are protecting ourselves from being hurt. And if we can get to the root cause of those childhood and emotional wounds and begin to heal those, that's such a big leap towards reclaiming our authentic expression. We'll be talking about, and I'll just be going into the most common wounds, most common fears, fear of judgment. That's another huge one when we're talking about stepping into our authentic expression. One of the biggest fears that come up is, but what will people say? This fear of judgment. So we'll be talking about the fears, we'll be talking about the masks, and also, and this is one of the things that I think is so important when we are, in this work, and specifically relating to authentic expression, is actually exposing some of our own shadows and really reclaiming those parts of ourselves, those dark and undesirable parts of ourselves. We need to be able to face our own shadows, and we need to accept that we as humans are the full spectrum. We can't just be good or right or light. To be whole, we need to embrace all of us. And sometimes those parts society deems unacceptable, but it's also part of our authentic expression. So I'll also be talking a little bit about our shadows as well, because ultimately, together as a package, they're the things that we need to work through in order to get back to who we are at this, at the absolute core of our being.
Yeah, I love that. Cherie, I am really excited to have you speaking at the Women Thrive Summit. For those of you watching this right now, I would like to invite you to take your spot at the Women Thrive Summit. So go ahead and visit our website. This is our annual women empowerment event that happens every year. And this year we have more than 50 amazing speakers from all around the world talking on topics on empowerment, leadership, confidence building, visibility, business success, personal relationship success, and so much more. And we really take a whole holistic approach to business and life and how women can be empowered to have more successful life so they can rise and thrive. So I hope to see you there. We are just around the corner from this summit. It's going to be happening in 2 weeks' time. So do make sure you save your spot. And if you feel called to, make sure you share this conversation, because you never know who might be needing this right now. Cherie, how do people connect with you?
The best way that people can connect with me is via my website, which is cherierivas.com. Alternatively, connecting with me via the socials as well, Cherie Rivas.
Yeah. And if you feel inspired, go ahead and drop Cherie a message and put a word thrive in there and let her know that you watched this. And I think it'll be a beautiful way to start the conversation, how women can thrive in their authentic truth. Cherie, this conversation I think was really important and perhaps life-changing for some people listening.
I certainly hope so. And, I would certainly encourage as many people to come along to the summit. I mean, of course, I would love it if everybody joined my session, which is on Wednesday, the 20th, I believe. And, the summit more broadly, 18th to the 22nd, as you said, so many amazing speakers, so many really important topics, and, it's going to be inspirational. So people should definitely register their spot for it now.
I look forward to it. To all of you listening, thank you so much for spending this time with us up to here. And we can't wait to see you at the Women Thrive Summit. So do make sure you connect with Cherie, find out when her talk is happening so you can be there live. And I know, and we had this conversation earlier today, that these events are just so hugely life transformational. You may not even know why you're coming to a particular talk or what you may get out of it, but I just want to invite you to be there and just experience for yourself what transformation happens when you are actually in the room with other incredible and inspirational women. I look forward to seeing you all there. And Cherie, thank you so much for your time and your wisdom sharing today.
Thank you so much, Ray. It's been great to be here.
Thank you.